Dare to think, July 30th. I'm Matthew, and I'm sitting here with JB, and welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. So glad to have you. Matt,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, please. What are we gonna get into tonight? What do you want to throw at me? I don't have any cards. I have no notes. Um, I'm just sitting here with my brain.
It's a good brain.
I don't know. I think so. I was never good at math. Maybe that was. I wish I had a better brain with math. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we're it's a beautiful summer evening from what I can see.
See,
Summer is my favorite time of year. I feel good. Feel real good in summertime.
yeah, the end of July. End of July.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful here, though. In Sonoma County, California.
Yeah, as long as there's no fires going on, this is a beautiful place.
Yeah, no fires. Those are bad. Those are bad.
If you take the fires out, Sonoma County is one of the prettiest places in California and probably the country.
Oh, shout. The
Of the
drought too. I wish we.
Sonoma Coast. Well, I can deal with the drought. I just
Can't
can't deal with the fires.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Matt, it's funny because when you mentioned drought, have we talked about harvesting fog or harvesting water from the atmosphere?
No, we have not talked about that, but I
Have
think I know where you're going with
have I
this.
sent you like any videos about like in Peru there was a village in
No,
Peru
no.
where this nonprofit organization went to them. It's some dirt poor little canyon in Peru. And that village was dependent on, if I find the link, everybody, I'm gonna put it in the description of this video. Okay, I will do that. It shouldn't be too difficult to find. But this was several years ago, and this nonprofit organization, they just wanted to help poorer parts of the world, live better. And this village was dependent on some agency, some company, or part of the government, or who knows, to ship in water to their little dirt poor, um, dry as shit little community, right? And the water would cost a lot of money to pay for it, to get it there, and oftentimes it was contaminated water.
Mm,
So this is what they
yeah.
were reliant upon. So this nonprofit organization comes in and says, "Hey, we'll help you harvest fog." And what they
Hmm.
did was, as soon as the community understood what was going on, everybody got involved, from like little kids to young adults to middle-aged people to the elderly. Everybody got involved, and it was this super easy system because what would happen was there was this fog bank that would roll in, much like most of California, especially Northern California. We have tons and tons and tons and tons of fog, especially on the coast, anywhere from Pacifica. Like it can be like 80 degrees 20 miles east from the coast, 80, 90 degrees sometimes if you start to get into like Contra Costa County. But if you go out to the coast, the temperature can drop 40 degrees and it can be like 50, 60 degrees with this huge fog bank right around here in San Francisco. We used to see it all the time when I lived in Oakland.
Right.
And then stretching all the way up the coast, Mendocino, Humboldt, all this. Okay, so we're no strangers to fog. So back to the village in Peru. They basically made these huge nets, a very finely, it was like they put these two big posts in the ground, and then they spread out this kind of mesh material. And what that would do is when the fog bank would roll in, the condensation would settle on this mesh net, and then it would just drip down. Gravity would just bring it down into these little PVC gutters, and then it would catch all the moisture, and then they would, from the gutters, they had these little tubes that would go into tanks, and they would get all sorts of clean water, and they started building gardens, and they started drinking it, and they started being less sick from all the contaminated water. So my point is, when it comes to the drought in California, I really wonder about what if there's a little, if I know about this little nonprofit organization that did this thing for this little village in Peru,
Right,
wouldn't
right.
it be wouldn't it be within the
We
realm
all know where this is
of
going.
California's ability to to you? I mean, it would be a gigantic business
Right, of
to
course,
harvest the
of course,
fog
yeah.
so that they could sell it to the farmers. I mean, why don't you do that instead of just saying, hey, all I see, Matt, are these banners that say, the drought is here. You motherfuckers save your water. Don't water your lawn. It's like, it's almost, it's comical to me because I'm just like, why don't you guys have like some super fancy machinery all up and down the coast that just like windmills, but instead they capture moisture from the fog. And then that's a supplemental source. You could have your own water company.
Dude, you are being far too logical right now.
I should run for governor
There's,
of California, right?
well, yeah, please do, actually. I would vote for you.
Thanks, bro.
Uh,
Okay, so here's a question, Matt. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
no, please.
If you were to run for governor right now, you're on the ticket, okay, everybody? Because here in California, we're facing. Sorry for my misspeaking. We're facing a recall election, right?
Yes, we are.
Where
yes.
our very
Vote Larry Elder.
okay, Matt
I'm
wants
shouting it out.
Larry
I'm
Elder.
shouting it out.
I'm not gonna speak down on Larry
Boom.
Elder. He's a viable, legitimate possibility. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
Matt,
mean to throw it off
no,
track.
no, it's cool. Matt, if you were to run for governor, let's just say Larry Elder's on the ticket. Everybody is on the ticket right now at present. But then, Matthew, your name is on the ballot. What platform are you going to run for as a native Californian who loves California, who knows how cool California is, whose heart breaks because it's kind of gone shitty and it's gotten all torqued.
Make California great again.
That's how I would say make California America again.
Well, yeah.
Make California non-communist.
Oh, it is. It's almost as if California is not even part of the United States. We're like
That's
this
how the
own
rest of the
entity.
U.S. looks at California. Here's the thing about California. California can be it can be a win-win. California kind of almost from the more liberal point of view, from the people who I know who are maybe, and I don't even like to say liberal, conservative, left, right. I don't even like any of that.
I know. It's like don't play the game, but
I don't like that. I try to look at it like everybody is their own mixture of conservative and liberal,
sure, yeah.
or anything else. Because in America, it's freedom. You can be your own person. I don't have to put you in a group. I can just look at you as a person. And that's how I want to be looked at, as my own person with my own thoughts, with my own brain, And some things aren't always black and white. There's a lot of shades of gray. So we get back to running for governor, Matt. You look at the problems. And we're going to face this recall election. So not only do we have to, number one, vote on Gavin Newsom if he stays or if he goes, which is really a no-brainer, right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, even the people that I talk to that are considered left-wing or Democrats, they don't like him.
It's not about, okay, do we only vote the party because we have party allegiance, or do we vote on competence?
Well, a lot of people do vote just on party allegiance, yes, which is sad. And I
That's
think
a problem.
a lot of people do it in California. But I think Gavin Newsom has done such a terrible job that even the liberals can get behind voting him out. And that's what I've seen from talking to people is, yeah, they want to see him go. It doesn't matter if you're left or right, Republican or Democrat.
Okay, Matt. So I still want to get to the whole. If your name is on the ticket,
If my name's on the ticket, what would I
what's your
do?
platform?
Yeah, I mean, make California great again. I mean,
What does great look like?
well, I think the best thing to do is look at what's wrong. What are the obviously what is obviously wrong with California right now? We have extreme homelessness, drug addiction. Um, ex- the home prices here are outrageous. Uh, there's just there's so many things to delve into, but I think the best thing to do is look at what's obvious, what's wrong with the state right now, and how do we fix that? And that's the best approach to it.
So how do you fix it? What is you said that
Well, I'm not a
home,
politician, but I would think changing laws and directing and funneling money into things that are actually going to benefit the state and benefit taking care and solving the problems that we have. Because there's so much financial mismanagement in California that I feel like there's probably millions or billions of dollars that are going places that people don't really even know. Um,
I hear you and I agree with you, but I don't know if just the governor can single-handedly fix that. I think that there has to be some sort of cooperation between him and the rest of the governing body of California. You know, the other representatives, um, state senators, things like that. So there's only I hear you, but there's only so much. Like nothing's gonna be as day and night. I don't
no, of
think,
course,
but
of
it
course.
could. The truth be told, it is a possibility. We saw in the Trump administration, we saw how much Trump reversed things for a while. Even if it was just like he downshifted from like fourth gear down to second gear, people felt that, they felt that change.
Right? Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's possible for a governor of a small, if the president can do it for the greater United States, then I don't think it's entirely impossible.
That a governor can do
Right.
it.
And so he could turn a state around. And he's you talk about Larry Elder. He's a really smart guy when you listen to him. He's got a lot of good ideas. It sounds like he's serious.
Oh, I think he's definitely serious.
Yeah, and
And
so
yeah,
and that's worth listening to for me. And the fact that he's not a career politician,
no,
get
that's one of
put
the best things about him.
right. And so that doesn't mean that you're squeaky clean,
Yeah, of course not. No.
but for an outsider to come in, it would be a different kind of approach than the same old crap that you get from these groomed or career politicians. And Newsom is just he's slimy, and he's so deep into that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's
It's
the
so obvious, and it's like you get somebody different who's not quite. And I'm not saying vote for Larry Elder. I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying when you get somebody else who's and you could say the same about like Caitlyn Jenner, but I think that this guy's got better ideas. Um, I seriously am considering voting for him. Seriously. I mean, Newsom out, that's a no-brainer. Of course he's out. People fired him unofficially already.
God. I really hope the elections are not rigged. It's a scary
That's
thought.
another conversation.
Yeah,
This is assuming that
we have a fair and honest election.
yeah, which is if you're serious, you're very skeptical of getting an honest election out of this whole thing. Aren't you, Matt? That's how I feel.
Well, Yeah, of course. I already feel like the establishment, if you will, tried to screw Larry Elder over because I think it was probably less than 2 weeks ago. Um, I think the Secretary of State in California said that he could not be on the ballot for the recall election because there was some law that regulated saying that he needed to provide taxes,
Right.
like 5 years of taxes, and then he went to court over it and he won. So now he is on the ballot, which
Yeah.
is absolutely fantastic. But I guarantee, and this is the conspiracy theorist in me, but I would almost guarantee that the whole reason that he wasn't put on that ballot was because the establishment does not want him on the ballot. And they're going to find every legal avenue that they can to keep him from running.
Yeah, he's a definite wild card. And
Right, yeah.
see, they're used to dealing with the whole, okay, we're on the Democrat, we're the dirty Democrats, and over there's the dirty Republicans, and we understand like how to like they they know and we know how the game is played. But then you get some wild card in there,
Yep.
and they go, oh shit, what is this?
Someone with money, someone with the influence,
Someone
someone that
who
is
a lot
popular.
of people have listened
This
to
a
him.
radio
He has a
show host.
reputation,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. So, and then when he talks, he's an excellent communicator. He really knows how to speak clearly
Yeah,
and
exceptionally.
effectively
Right.
and sell his points.
Hmm.
And then it's like the other thing that hurts the stereotypical left is that he's a black man.
Right. They can't pull the race card.
Right? They can't say that the recall bid is a white nationalist movement.
Exactly.
No.
It's
We
so
we
great.
want we
So
want
great.
somebody. We don't give a shit what color you are. And in fact, if it makes you look stupider
It does.
because it's ironic that he's a black dude who understands just
Yeah, it's
you
called
know the
irony.
yeah, exactly. It's as plain to anybody. Who gives a shit what color you are? If you make sense, I'm going to vote for you. If your ideas, if I believe that you're going to accomplish what you say you're going to accomplish, I'll support you. But we don't have to vote for anybody. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Newsom never should be. He's destructive, personally. And Larry Elder, I don't know anything about him, but give him a chance.
Absolutely. I
Because
think
I'm
so.
sold on the philosophy. I'm sold on a lot of the philosophy. Let's put it that way. He's not the only guy I like, Matt. We've talked
Yeah,
about this.
you mentioned another candidate. I can't remember his name, and
Young
frankly,
man named Major Williams.
his first name is Major.
I think that's what his mom named him.
Huh. Well, that's a dope name.
Yeah, as in like he's a boss. And here he is,
Boss from
and
birth.
here he is running for. He's from Texas, apparently.
Oh, nice.
He's from Texas, but he loves California, and he's been here for like 20 years. Raised his family. I think he's an
Okay.
entrepreneur.
Business owner.
Yeah, he goes out and he engages people a lot. He campaigns on a sidewalk level. He's worth looking at, in my opinion. And then the other people, from what I gather, are kind of more like the slimy Republican,
Establishment
right.
figures.
So I could be wrong on them. I haven't looked at all of them on an individual basis, but I naturally explore people who are smart and who don't just echo the catchphrase bullshit. Who see the problem and who have a practical way of looking at it and maybe trying something. And I like a lot of Major Williams' platform. I think his first step would be to evaluate, to kind of do an audit of what the state is spending and
Oh,
where the money is
absolutely.
going to,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that is a reflection of the policy's values.
And I guarantee you're going to find corruption.
Oh, God, up and down. It's funny because California, it could be the greatest state in the entire nation.
If you have people, representatives, or elected officials that actually do their job and that are not bought off, then yes, we could have not only a great California, but a great country with amazing infrastructure. You know, it's endless.
Yeah. So, and here's the other thing I like about Larry Elder. Like us, Matt, he's a native.
Yeah, you grew up in LA.
Yep. We're Northern California natives, but we're Californians.
Sure, sure, yeah.
And Northern California and Southern California have its friendly what do you call it? Just competitiveness and
Sports competitiveness.
well, just cultural,
Yeah.
etc. But we're still Californians, and when I see a dude down there who loves his Southern California and he gets it like all the way, like he just gets it. I identify with him as a native Californian, and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I love the Bay Area. I love Northern California. I love all of California. I love, the natural beauty, and dude, California has the agriculture, it has the wine community,
There's so much here.
tourism.
It's so diverse.
Yeah, it has the natural, like I said, the beaches, the camping, the mountains, Lake Tahoe, Death Valley, Yosemite, uh, all this stuff, all Northern California, Mount Shasta. And then it has the culture of the Bay Area. It has the big tech Silicon Valley economy. It has Hollywood, Disney.
A lot of money. A lot
Yeah.
of money here.
So why can't you? Why can't this be the place that everybody wants to come to?
I think once was, but
It was.
not any longer. I think there's a lot of people that are escaping California. A lot of people are going
It's
to
sad.
Texas, Colorado, Utah, Nevada.
Yep. Florida,
Yeah, Florida.
Arizona. Yeah,
Yep.
it's true.
It's just so expensive. The taxes are so high. It's like, you know, is it worth it? Can you afford it? Do you,
Well, I always used to be able, and I've told this to other native Californians too. I always used to be able to defend California. I'd be like, "Well, it's got all this. It's got all this stuff that I just mentioned." But after like the fires for the last 5 years in a row, or however many it's been, where we've been
2017, I think, was
choking
the
on
original.
smoke, and it's almost become like we expect that there's going to be fires in our area again. Dude, I could not defend the cost of living in California anymore. And the fact that, like, all the policies that were going on, taxing people who leave the state.
Oh, that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's just like, talk about, like you said, the mafia. Dude, California is a government mafia right now. I mean, letting
Yeah.
people out of prison. And you know why they're letting them out of prison? So that the prisoners don't collect there's a loophole where the prisoners were getting to collect on, I think it was the payout money,
Payout money for what?
the COVID relief fund stuff, the stimulus things. Yeah.
They wanted the prisoners to get the stimulus check?
No, they were something like that, or something about they were able to collect welfare because of some policy that Newsom passed. I need to do. I'm sorry, everybody. I need to do more homework on that. But there's something that was corrupt about letting the prisoners out, and people were collecting on something from the state. So
Well, I don't doubt
I
it.
need to
I don't
look into
doubt it.
that more, but I saw a couple articles on it. I don't have the references in front of me, so I'm sorry. My bad. I'm not
You're not
I'm not doing
fully
well.
here. Jesus
I'm not being
Christ.
vigilant.
It's all, dude. I don't have notes in front of me, and I should. And I always think about doing them, and then I
You
don't.
don't need notes,
But here
bro,
we
cuz
are.
you're a thought
Oh,
ninja.
I don't know. I mean, let's reel it back in. We're talking about the state, talking about the governor, the re-election, the recall
Yeah, Larry
election.
Elder, Gavin Newsom,
Um,
scandals, Major Williams.
yeah, I don't know. I'm throwing my money on Larry Elder. I hope to God, because I really do think that he can turn things around. And like you were saying, when Trump ran, he was able to make a great deal of change in a
Mhm.
very small amount of time.
Yeah.
And I feel that Larry Elder can do that as well.
Yeah, I was telling you about how I was watching Dave Rubin
Yeah, yeah,
interview.
yeah.
Did you watch that?
I did watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was saying it just struck me how I really got the sense that I identified with him on this, that he loved California. And California was his home. It had been his home his whole life. And I got that. I like and there's a lot of I think that there is still a lot of native Californians here in California who care about the state and who don't like what they're seeing and who want to see a change, but I don't think it's going to be a night and day kind of change. I think that there's going to have to be a transitional time so that it's not super traumatic. But it could be like we were talking about. It could be something like that. Maybe that's what California needs. Maybe California is just dormant and stagnant and stale and moldy and needs to be kind of like shook up and, you know, brushed off so that it can live, so that it can kind of come back to life again. You know, because California is a cool place when it's in its element. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been here my whole life, so I guess I can't really speak much for other places. I would love to travel someday. I haven't done much traveling.
There's a lot of cool places out there.
But yeah, I like California. I think it's great. You know, if
What song are you thinking about right now?
what song?
California Dreamin',
Yeah. Oh,
Californication.
California. Definitely
You know,
California dreaming. Californication. I've never been a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. Really.
what's the one that goes like, California, rest in peace?
No
Is that
idea.
Californication?
No. Actually, yeah, it might be.
Is it?
It might be. Might be.
Whatever.
Anyway,
They're very Southern California vibe. I get that from their music so much. But so are the Doors.
yeah, that's true. Love the Doors.
Yep. Love a lot of Bay Area bands though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. A lot of good music
Right.
has come out of here. All sorts of stuff. Rock, hip hop, rap.
The whole psychedelic
Yep.
movement.
Electronic,
Yeah.
DJs, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, California's a great state. We have so much diversity in culture and
Mhm.
music and so
Food.
much history.
Oh
Yeah, has come out of the state. Yeah, like you were saying, food. There's some great restaurants here in Santa Rosa. I mean, I'm
Like
there's
what?
great restaurant.
Let's talk about see, obviously, our theme today is California and how much we love it. The governor, the recall. We actually I kind of was gonna go into this podcast talking about something else, but I mean, just talking about California, we have a lot of material, we have a lot of history, we got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I think just because the recall election is coming up soon in September, that there's a lot to talk about. You're talking about people running, and
Yeah.
you're trying to look at the integrity of California and keeping it, and
Come on,
you know s-
Californians.
just appreciating
Let
everything that California has to give and
Yeah.
what it has given.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of downfalls.
Okay, so
There's a lot. It's expensive, but
here's a question, Matt. Do you feel like do you feel like Californians, especially in liberal places like the Bay Area and LA and all that, do you feel like they can't see the practical, basic logic of somebody like Larry Elder? Do you think that because they'll look at him, because when I watched him on Dave Rubin, it was just like he was saying like pe- people call me an Uncle Tom,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
and they just kind of
Not
they call me a
surprised.
sellout and everything is like he's like but listen to me, who's on your side? And because he was talking about growing up in inner city South Central,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was talking about school choice, and he says most of the people in that community don't want to send their kids to some of the local schools. They want to have different options.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, do you think that there's a lot of California true blue Democrats, liberals, whatever, who can't allow themselves to vote against their team?
Yes, I yes, absolutely.
Because that's so unfortunate.
I think there are a ton of people that will just vote within their party lines. Um, like I told you previously, like I'm always looking at the YouTube comments. I'm always looking at what people are saying. And
Yeah.
there were several people that said within the comments, "Oh, Larry Elder. Well, he's a Republican. I can never vote Republican." And it's really disappointing because people have these blinders on where they can't look past party lines, or they can't look past that left right paradigm, and they're just going to go with their team essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks.
But here's the question is for me, just basic natural logic. If he was to run on the Democratic ticket, would they vote for him? And
I think
he doesn't change
eh,
his policies or any of his
I
philosophy at
think
all.
yeah, I think a
But
lot of
he
people would
goes
vote
on the
for him.
Democratic ticket. Will people vote for him?
Sure. I
Because
think
if
they would.
so, those people are liars.
Well, of course, because people don't think critically. They don't, we've talked about this in previous recordings, but so many people are just busy with their daily lives that they watch the news when they get home and they say, oh, there's a recall election, Republican,
Yeah.
Democrat, and I'm just going to vote for the Democrat just because that's what people do in California.
I hear you, but
They,
I don't think
it,
that a lot of people are like that. I think a lot of people actually do think things through.
I hope so. I really
Yeah.
hope
A
so.
lot of people don't. You are correct in your assessment, but I think we might differ on what we mean by a lot, because there is a big group that doesn't think at all. That's true.
Yeah, I have no
But
stats, so
I,
I'm just
I
throwing that out
yeah,
there.
but I do think that there is a big portion, huge portion of the population that actually instinctively knows that they need to be aware of what's going on around them, especially when it comes from different people, politicians, news agencies, whatever, through the TV. They hear it, and they might at first kind of go along with it, but I think instinctively they're still on guard. That's my personal belief.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's a big topic. It's a big
California.
topic. It's California. I guess that's where was directed tonight, was talking about the
All the
state.
leaves are brown.
I guess it's appropriate because the election is coming up. But
Yeah.
I don't know what else did you have in mind. I know you
Let's
had.
talk about our feelings about, is it going to be a fair election?
I mean, I definitely feel like it's going to be tried to be manipulated, or
Oh yeah.
it's going to be rigged or tried to be rigged.
Well, we have every reason to. Okay, so that suspicion right there that you're talking about, in my opinion, is 100% justified, simply because 2020 presidential election. I mean, that was like balls out in front of everybody.
It was, I agree, but if you talk to some people, they think you're crazy for saying that.
Well, they can think I'm crazy, but in my opinion, that was the
It
emperor has.
was.
Okay, the
Right.
child said the emperor has no clothes. If we look at things without our bias, that was balls out. Fucking election manipulation.
Yeah, without bias. If you look at it without bias, yes, of course, but so many people here have bias. But yes, I agree.
Well,
It
the
was
name of our show is what?
completely obvious that there was cheating. Dare to think. So let's
So,
think about it.
yeah,
Let's
think about it,
investigate it.
everybody.
Let's connect the dots. Put the pieces of the puzzle together.
So we have
mean-
reason to be skeptical that there's going to be election integrity, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
If they can do it nationwide, what's to stop them from doing it in one state?
That's right.
I mean,
that's right.
and didn't we see that in Georgia?
I don't know. You'll have to remind me on that.
That was early in this year. It
An
was
election.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically they were voting on senators post regular election, and both Democratic candidates won, and it tipped the whole either the Senate or the Congress in the advantage of the Democrats.
Oh.
Yeah, so that happened earlier this year.
Yeah, that was probably rigged.
Well, a lot of people feel that way, and so that's why they started like petitioning all this stuff about like voter laws, and then the Major League Baseball they were going to have their All-Star game in Atlanta because
Yeah, I
they
heard about
felt
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they felt that the voting the people who were trying to pass like to change the law so that like
Like
each-
legislation?
yeah, the legislation so that each person could be like verified,
Oh.
like you're I am JB and here is my vote,
Right.
versus like I'm JB and then I come back the next day and I say I'm Matthew Mercer and I live at whatever and I don't have to produce an ID.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that they were saying like, no, you need ID verification, but then the whole narrative was like, no, that's racist.
Right. That's been the whole narrative all
And
over the
so
country.
they took the All-Star games and they moved them from Atlanta to Colorado.
So ridiculous.
And they're just like, I'll show you, Georgia.
Oh, Jesus.
Because the Georgian people actually wanted that to happen. Because they wanted integrity in their elections. Not because it was racist, but of course, the people who, own the media and everybody, they're just like, oh,
They're going to
that's
spin it
Georgia.
that way. Yeah.
That's the South. They
Everyone's
condone
racist
slavery.
there. Jesus.
And they've never let go of their ways since whenever they lost the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Jim Crow this. No, dude. And then you get a black governor like the guy in South Carolina who's like, yeah, that used to be our past, but that's in the past. America's not racist anymore. We're cool. We've made great strides, and this is coming from a black governor in South Carolina. He's like, oh, we made great strides to get past all that, and we're all good. It used to be more of a factor, but we've come a long way in the last couple generations. But that's not the whole ideological war. Matt, if there's one other thing I want to talk about tonight, it's this. It's the war.
The information war?
Yes, there's many tiers to the war.
There is.
So there's the information war, and I feel like that's at the upper tier. Below that, these next two are very closely followed. They could be either 2 or 3. But below the information war is the psychological war.
Yeah.
And it could be number 2, it could be number 3. Below that is the ideological war. And then the next tier down, I would personally put, is a spiritual war.
Yeah, definitely.
So information war, that's clear. We have the current White House calling for censorship, flagging of what they call misinformation.
Which is completely totalitarian.
Right. What about it is misinformation? Because could it be that they have misinformed us on different things in the last year and a half?
Yeah, most definitely.
So wouldn't that be misinformation by definition?
Of course.
So why are they afraid of misinformation, and why do they not trust the average person to be able to determine what is information, what is true information, what is misinformation? Why do they have to block that kind of information out?
Because it's about controlling the narrative. And if you speak up against the narrative, then you're going to be squashed, and you're going to be censored, you're going to be flagged, you're going to be deleted. You know, that's the bottom line. If you're going against the narrative, they're going to come after you.
For me, what it says is that they're afraid of losing control at this point.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's the whole
this is a
point.
crucial point in the story.
You have to control the narrative in order to not lose the game, essentially, to put it in very basic terms.
What would happen if they get put into a corner and everybody realizes who they truly are?
I think that day's coming, and to answer your question, I think that these people won't be able to walk down the street. When people realize the truth, and they realize how evil these people are, and that they've been plotting against humanity, if you will, or literally, they won't be able to walk down the street. So it doesn't matter if you're a politician or a news anchor or anyone that's, towing the line and going along with this narrative, this propaganda is going to be outed. I mean, I can't say for 100%, but I hope to God that there really is an awakening going on right now. And I hope to God that there will one day soon be a mass awakening where people will realize who the enemy is and will stand against this evil that we're experiencing right now.
Well, the battle of good and evil is as old as time.
Yeah.
It's been going on for a long time. And see, this is where it doesn't matter what your political beliefs are.
Yeah, because it's not about politics.
No.
A lot of people I talk to, I'm like, here, check this out, check that out. And they're like, no, I'm not into politics. I'm like, this has nothing to do with politics. I mean, yes, it's like a subcategory, if you will. But overall, this is just, to put it simply, it's about good versus evil. That's what's going on right now on the planet. It's like the mass of humanity versus this small group of people that want to manipulate and control everything and everyone.
Well, and my personal belief is if it wasn't this group of people, it would be a different group of people doing the same thing. just because over time, through the history of human race, there's always been a struggle between good and evil. There's times where evil conquers good, but it can never conquer good forever, simply because good is has supremacy over evil, just as light has supremacy over darkness.
Yeah, that's true.
There are certain powers that are just supreme.
Yeah.
And so even though evil or darkness or whatever will at times conquer, it's only a temporary bid, because it can never conquer forever, because it doesn't have the supremacy.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I guess it goes
Same thing with
waves.
truth and lies. If you tell a lie now, because it's inferior to the truth, you have to guard the lie.
You have to tell another lie to
You have
protect the
to
original
you have
lie.
to tell 10,000 more lies
Right, which
to protect the original lie. Versus one truth has the supremacy, and it'll come in and utterly obliterate however many lies were ever told.
yeah.
One truth is always more powerful. One bit of light, particle of light, is greater than any darkness. And same is true for, reality over false narratives.
Yeah, the truth will always come out. There's a quote. I don't know who said it, but it says something like, "You can release it. The truth is like a lion. You can release it, and you don't have to defend it. It will defend itself."
Very true.
And the truth is always going to come to the surface. And like you were just saying a second ago, if you're going to lie about something and start a false narrative, then you have to continuously lie in order to cover the first lie.
Yeah,
But if you're
it takes
telling
more
the truth,
energy.
yeah, if you're telling the truth, you don't have to cover for it. It just is what it is.
Yeah. It takes more energy to lie.
Yeah, exactly. It does.
You tell a
You know,
lie,
it's-
you have to guard it, you have to watch over it, you have to care for it, you have to do all sorts of, you have to maintain it. You tell the truth, that's it. It's a done deal.
Right.
I told the truth. The emperor has no clothes. Oh, no. He has clothes. He has clothes here, and he has clothes there. And so you have to defend against the superiority of a greater power multiple more times, just so that nobody can see the superiority of the truth, which is the emperor has no clothes.
Yep. And that's why we have the mainstream media.
Yeah, but the mainstream media, they're a bunch of clowns.
They are a bunch of clowns, but a lot of other clowns sitting in their living rooms in the evening watch them and believe it.
Well, so those people are either going to wake up or not.
I mean, I'm not trying to be negative. I don't want to put anyone down by calling people clowns because they watch the mainstream media. I'm just saying it's really unfortunate that people have been sucked into certain narratives that are being pushed that are not true. And if you just look at it with a clear and open mind without an ego, that you will see that a lot of what is being said on the mainstream is just outright lies. So I'm not trying to be negative. I just wish more people would think critically and logically and rationally.
I don't take you as negative at all, bro, for saying people should think, critically. There's nothing negative about being honest. So
That's true. That's really important, actually,
I think that
for people to understand.
people who are listening with a critical ear are able to get where you're coming from. So you shouldn't have to feel like you need to
Explain myself.
right. You should just explain yourself, say, hey, this is how I'm seeing it. And, every so often you could say, like, hey, don't mean to sound harsh, but the truth is harsh. So I would say speak the truth, speak it as well as you could, speak it as clearly as you can. And, we're in a time right now where, as we said before, we are at war. We're information war, psychological war, ideological war, spiritual war.
Yeah, it's very
It's
true. Very,
there.
very true.
Look at the tiers of the cake. We're
Yeah.
eating the cake. We're eating the war.
Which tier are we on right
Yeah,
now?
we're in every tier. Information, psychological, ideological, spiritual. I feel the impacts on all those levels, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see it all around me, but I think a lot of people are blind to it, unfortunately.
And that's because they're they're being affected by the war. They're casualties of the
Yeah,
war,
yeah.
of the information war,
Yes, they are.
psychological, all those levels. They're casualties of the war. And they don't have to be. They could be just wounded. I think a lot of people are being affected by this and are waking up to it. I really do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I wanted to say I think a lot of the casualties, unfortunately, of this war, this propaganda war, are people that feed into the fear of the whole COVID narrative, and they are taking shots that are not approved um, for a virus that has like a 98.999% survival rate. And I think that's just proof right in front of your face
Oh,
that
yeah.
so many people have sold into what the mainstream is pushing. It just doesn't make sense to me that I've seen so many people around me that I would consider very rational, logical thinkers, and they're running out to get the vaccine when it it clearly has a very high survival rate. So that's been like kind of a wake up to me, I guess, if you will. I didn't think I'd ever see it get to this extreme, but that just shows you how well the media does what they do.
I hear you. Yeah, I agree. It's been very revealing for me also. But Matthew, you and I charter out into areas that I think a lot of people aren't comfortable doing. Whereas you and I, we can do it because we've been doing it for a long time.
Sure.
Um, but so I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
People have gone out, people we care about, and people also a bunch of people who we don't know, who other people care about too. They've gone out and they've done this thing, in my opinion, for really no good reason.
Get the vaccine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned because I think that this is preschool.
As far as what we've researched.
Yes, this is preschool. This is just a test to see what people are willing to do.
Yeah, that's true. It's all a trial period, I guess.
What's going to be commanded by the state next will be much harsher. And they're going to take us through stages, in my opinion.
Yeah, they already are.
This is preschool.
Well, it's getting bad.
They're starting to kind of test to see what we're going to take.
Right. And there is a resistance.
Yeah, definitely. They're starting to make noise about the whole censorship bit. And it's not that they can't censor people. They've been censoring people forever. They're just telling people right now because I kind of think that they're checking, you know, they're checking our pulse. Like, what are you guys going to do if we do this? Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they're testing the waters,
Yeah.
dipping their toe in, seeing,
What they
getting the
don't,
reaction.
what I think they don't know is that I do strongly believe this. I might get myself in trouble. I don't get us in
How
trouble.
dare you?
I think that what they don't know is I think a lot of Americans are like a viper. And they're kind of like coming in being like, "Oh, do you guys care if we're like this? Do you care if we're..." And America's just like crouching back,
Ready to
crouching
strike.
back,
Ready to
crouching
strike.
back, just being like, "Okay, if you put us in this much of a corner, you're going to leave us with no choice."
I mean, there's a limit. There's going to be a limit, and you're going to push people to a certain point where they're not going to take it anymore, and they're going to push back. There is a breaking point.
For the most part, I think what they don't, I think actually what the whole, and I'm not talking about a person like Donald Trump. I'm talking about the Trump administration and the Trump era. I think what the Trump era showed is how much people really do love America. And they are like, they're from all walks of life, and they don't necessarily agree with everything that Donald Trump is, but they kind of feel a identification with, like,
Being patriotic.
yeah, and like being, hey, we don't have to outsource our companies or anything like that. We should be getting all the, we should be taking care of our own people. We should be taking care of our own roads, our own farmers, all this sort of stuff.
America first.
I don't, and that's not to say that I agree with everything that Donald Trump was or anything or everything that he stood for. I have issues with him too, but I also feel like, you can't say that there's one person that's only bad all the time. And because, I could say like the German people loved Hitler on some levels too. They did. They're like, yeah, Germany first, or whatever. So I'm not trying to make a parallel between Donald Trump and Hitler. I'm just saying that there's popularity with certain individuals.
I think Trump brought back patriotism.
No, it
And
was always there.
it was there, but you had to kind of uncover it.
I
You
think it was.
didn't
I
really
think it was
realize
always
it.
there, but I think it was what it was looking for was the right kind of wave, and he kind of came in and he was that wave, and nobody quite expected it or whatever. But a lot of people benefited because of a lot of the things that he did during his presidency.
Yeah, he wasn't a politician, and I think most of the establishment politicians, they're not patriotic. They don't care. They're bought off and blackmailed, and you know, they're not there to serve America. And I think Trump was. I mean, that's my opinion. And I think that's why there were so many people that, came out and were patriotic and flew their flags and were just very outspoken about being proud Americans because it's so foreign in our politics. Because I think there's so much corruption in DC. There really is an establishment, and it's like a cancer. It's linked to all sorts of foreign interests that only have their interests in mind, and it's not about the American people. But when you have somebody that comes in and somebody that's willing to put America first, then you're going to grab a lot of people's attention, you know. Just like Larry Elder, running for California governor. I think a lot of people really gravitate towards him because he is all about pro America and saving California and reversing all these terrible policies that Newsom has put in place. So yeah, that's a great point, that you made.
Yeah.
You know, we I guess this whole podcast has really been focused on California. That's obviously on our minds because we live here and it affects us directly.
Yeah.
Maybe for listeners that don't live in the state, it's, not as important, but,
I think it's cool that we've been able to talk about all this stuff because talking about it from as California natives, but from a California perspective on COVID, which has been one of the most strictest places in the country.
yes.
So it's to me it's made it more interesting to speak about all these things from that perspective.
Yeah,
So
other people can
hopefully,
get an idea.
hopefully somebody who's living in wherever, Texas or Florida, they'll be like, "Oh, you guys sound like you're in Nazi Germany, compared to us."
Pretty much
And
we are.
we're well, it's not that bad, but
No.
we envy, we want California to be like you guys. We want we think it can be. Don't you, Matt?
Yeah, I want a
I
governor
think
to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think
not-
California could be as free as Texas or Florida or a lot of other South Dakota, South
Yeah.
Carolina, all these different places. I do think, and still be California. I do think that.
It's
I
possible.
honestly
It's
do
definitely
think, and
possible.
I think when I listen to somebody like Larry Elder, who's a native California, he gets it. I'm like, yeah. Because like Gavin Newsom, he's a native California, but he's just a little product of the system. Whereas Larry Elder
Yeah.
he'll tell you his story.
Newsom is an establishment pawn.
But Larry Elder, if you listen to his story, he'll tell you about his dad.
Yeah.
He talks about his dad scrubbing toilets for 10 years or whatever before he just wanted to be a cook in a restaurant because he was a cook in the military. And they didn't even let him in California back in like the 40s and the 50s.
Because he was black?
Because he was black.
Oh.
And he was like a really good cook. He just wanted to work in a kitchen. So instead he took a job as a janitor scrubbing toilets.
Hmm.
This is Larry Elder. He'll tell you that he tells this story over and over again.
He's a great storyteller.
Yeah. And then and how his dad taught him different things. So, yeah. Again, I haven't cast a vote yet, but I'm just talking about what I've observed.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it touches me emotionally as a Californian, as a native Californian. And Matthew, you too, as somebody who cares about California, who knows how cool California is. And it's got this reputation right now like it's the pariah of the nation, which is mostly legitimate, but not 100% merited in perspective. In the short term, yes. In the long term, no.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, oh man, the stakes are high. The stakes are real high.
But we're not going to stop fighting no matter what.
No, we're gonna keep talking no matter what.
Damn right.
We're gonna keep
the truth must be told.
right, and it will always come out in the end. It might be too late. There might be destruction and.
Well, and we'll talk about that and what we need to do then too, because we have to take care of ourselves. We can't just like put our heads in the sand or anything like that. We have to survive.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
have to thrive. We have to take. How do you think people got through the wars that they did throughout time?
Sure.
There were good people that were courageous enough that banded together and that said that, like, I know it's bad, but we're going to get through this together. We're going to get through it.
Yeah, people made it through. People made it through, and we will as well. It's a tough time with everything going on the planet right now, like you said, and I completely agree. We're in a war. It's an information war, a spiritual war. Um, and that's why I'm doing this, and I think that's why we both do this, is just getting information out there and trying to spread truth, you know. Maybe my truth is not other people's truth, but I'm just sharing what I see from my research, using logic and rational thought. And I just hope others look at things the same way, or that it just sparks an interest for people to do their own research, look into things for themselves. So, yeah, California.
Any last closing thoughts?
No, no, I don't think so. I guess we'll be back with another episode talking about the results of the California election. That's coming up in September. But
That's still a good 6 weeks out, I think.
yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the results are. And I'm sure we will have a lot to talk about regardless of which way it goes.
I concur.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be interesting just to see what happens in the next 6 months to a year.
I thought you were going to say in the next week.
Well, yeah. I mean, you never know. Shit's crazy right now. Oh, COVID restrictions coming back in California. People
No.
being...
I don't think people want to do it.
I don't think they will.
They're really trying to sell it to us.
They really are. Well, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. But
Larry Elder for governor.
Yeah. Yeah. Larry.
He said he was talking real fast about the COVID restrictions and the whole, because they're down in L.A., him and Dave Rubin, and they said, like, what do you think about this new, Dave said, what do you think about this revival of the mask mandates? And he's just like, Larry Elder said, he's like, I talked to the sheriff. He says, I'm not going to enforce it. It's not scientific.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and Dave Rubin was saying, he's like, he was going into different restaurants and he wasn't wearing a mask. He's like, I'm not going to fight anybody. He's just like, but I'm not going to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in.
That's how I feel.
And he's like, he's like, I got served, so it was fine. No big deal. He's like, I got some looks, but other than that, who cares?
Yeah.
He's like, but if somebody wants to throw me out of their store, he's like, I'm not going to fight. They can just, tell me to leave and I'll leave.
Yeah, it's probably not worth fighting, getting the police involved in it and stuff.
But you make your statement, though, and maybe some other people might be like, hey, yeah, he's got a point.
And, yeah, I think that's what it's about, is you're setting a principle for others to see. And hey, maybe I shouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah, but then you might be a Karen.
You might be a Karen.
See, they try to shame you.
Or you might be a Kyle.
Whatever. They try to shame you so that you don't do it.
They do try to shame you.
They try to tell you that this person's bad. They don't care about your grandma.
Well, that's the psychological warfare
that is
that's going on.
Exactly. That's why I point out Dude, you know how... the thing I hate about... Last point that I'm going to make. The thing I hate about the psychological warfare is how it's gotten to me. And I'll tell you how. Over the last year and a half, when I meet somebody, I shake their hand.
Right.
And ever since this whole COVID psychological warfare happened to me,
nobody wants to touch you.
I don't know. It's not that I don't want to shake somebody. I'm not afraid myself, but out of respect for however somebody else feels,
you don't know how they're going to react.
It's changed me to where I just go hi, and I kind of put my hand up and wave. And I'm like,
it doesn't feel natural.
I don't want to do that. And I'm mad at myself for
allowing
succumbing to it. Yeah. And I'm mad at them for doing it to me, but it actually worked on me. And I hate that. And I want to try to reverse that, and I still do put my hand out to people now, because now it's like people have been quote vaccinated and they're cool,
They feel a little bit more comfortable.
but it's still psychological warfare.
Yeah, of course.
When I break it down and I analyze it, I'm like, who knows what you took into your body? It might not even be a vaccine. It might it might just be, saline. It might be sugar proteins.
And Big Pharma's making a lot of money.
It might be a vaccine. It might be something super deadly. It might be poison. I have no idea.
People have no idea what is actually in it.
Seriously, but I'm telling you, the psychological warfare aspect, it makes me sad that I've been affected by it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I wish I wasn't, because I want to be like, hey, how's it going? I'm JB. And I still do that now, but I hated for a year that I couldn't shake somebody's hand or they would be like, I would put my hand out and they would just be like, hey.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's pretty awkward. Or I've usually gotten the fist bump. If people don't feel comfortable shaking hands, they're just like,
well, that's cool. Fist bump is cool. It's better than elbow bump.
Yeah, the elbow bump. I've had that a couple times.
That's weird.
I don't know. I just feel like it's disrespectful, but I mean, I guess you have to be.
Well, it's social engineering, though.
Yes.
They're taking us down from humans to something else.
It's programming people.
Yeah, they're dehumanizing us.
Yeah, it's that's a whole other topic.
This is
into.
This is the worldview according to Dare to Think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's see, July 30th, and we're closing out. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, we love you.
I guess we're just trying to cover a lot of topics going on in our state here in California.
We put out a good podcast, I feel.
Sure, yeah, I hope so. And hopefully it was informative. It's really just two guys having a conversation and just shooting the shit.
But we're thinking about our audience, though. We're thinking about people we know. Thinking about people who are listening to us. So we are forming our arguments based on that, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely, for what it's worth, do my research and try to understand things clearly.
And you should do yours.
Yeah, that's right. We all have to dare to think, Drop the ego and just look at things for what they are. Easier said than done, I know. I've got an ego, but anyway, I guess we'll catch you guys on the next one, July 30th. Dare to think. Boom. Shabam.